here's something that has confused me for so long until I figured it out. If you have list comprehension and you want to filter, does the if clause go at the end or in the middle of the list comprehension? And if you want to use an if else, so that when you filter, you also have a replacement in case the condition is false, where does that go? In the middle or at the end? And the reason it's confusing is because those two go in different places in list comprehension. And in the beginning, I used to think, this is strange. What's the reason for this? It must be a bug in Python, it's a mistake that they've made, but no, there's a valid reason for it. Let's find out. Let's assume I have a list of names and I want to filter these names. Let's say filtered names. Doesn't really matter what filtering we're going to do. Let's say name for name in names. And I want to filter this by saying if, for example, len name, let's say, is greater than 5. Let's check that this works. Print filtered names. And there we go. Audrey, Ishan, Amelia. Jim is not there. Clara is not there. Aaron is not there. That makes sense. Perfect. We've kept all the names that have 5 letters or longer. Brilliant. But, and I'm going to comment that out and print it again. What if I want to say else, rather than removing them, I want to replace them by something else? Well, I can't say this, else, for example, put in a question mark. You can see all the red lines have gone there, and if I try running this, I'm like, invalid syntax, it doesn't work. In this case, the if-else block needs to go before. So let's say in the middle, right? After name, after the first bit, which was always there, but before the for, and this works. What's the difference between them? Let me take that. I'm just going to do a bit of a display there. So this is just to show you the two side by side. And let me introduce some non-Pepade spacing, right? Just to separate this list comprehension. We have name there. This is the variable we're using in the beginning, right? I'm going to put a few more spaces there to separate it. Then I have the for clause, for name in names. And then I have the if bit there. Let's just put an extra space. Again, these are not regulation spaces, so don't do them. As you can see, my editor there is complaining, but it doesn't matter. I want to separate name, the for clause, and the if clause. And we could be tempted to do the same thing there, right? For the if clause, and then the for clause goes there. Let's put a few more spaces there to align them. So this seems like a sensible way of splitting it, right? We have name in both of them. Then I have the for clauses there, and then in this case it's at the end. And in the first one, the if clause is at the end, but the if else is at the beginning. However, this spacing is wrong, not just because Pepe doesn't like it, because this one has 3 separate expressions. The identifier that we're using there, name, the for statement, and the if statement. This one, however, only has 2 expressions. If we look at this as one expression, which it is, that is a single expression, and it's called the conditional expression. We're asking Python to give us a value. Either give me name or give me question mark as a string. And the way Python decides is based on that. This is a single expression. An expression is a statement that returns a value. So this will always return a value. For example, let's go to the console and have a play with this. If I say my variable equals hello if true, else by. Since this is an expression, it will give back a value which will be assigned to my variable, which in this case my variable is hello. That is not an expression, that's a statement. It doesn't give me anything back. It's simply putting a condition there, and it needs to be linked to something else. That is also not an expression, but that is an expression. Therefore, the conditional expression, name if len name is greater than 5 as question mark, is actually replacing that expression, which in the first list comprehension is just one identifier. And that's why this makes perfect sense. because we're not simply replacing the if statement with an if-else statement, and we can't do that. Instead, we're replacing the first expression, which in the first list comprehension was just the identifier name, with the conditional expression. Name, if len, name greater than 5, else question mark. If you're interested, you can read more about this in one of my recent articles in the Python coding stack. If you find if-else and list comprehension confusing, read this. Else, you have to read it. And you see there's the same example I've shown you, but I go in a bit more depth, especially discussing the statements and expressions, but the conditional expression. It's a ternary operator. Some people call this the ternary operator, but ternary operator simply tells us that there are 3 parts to it. The expression in the beginning, the expression at the end, and then the condition in the beginning. So it's formally called the conditional expression. It's not a conditional statement. Those are the if and the else and the elifs as a standalone. The conditional expression is this ternary operator. So feel free to have a read through the longer article if you want to.